It's official, Nero is now a member of the Black Bulls. Everyone foresaw it coming, but it was nice to see it finally go down. And to be perfectly honest, like, I knew that she was going to be a member, but I didn't think that she would look so natural in the Black Bulls robe. I think it just really fits with her design, much more than, say, like her outfit, but just like the way that it kind of like blends in with her hair color and the little horns. Really enjoying that aspect of it. But anyway, as left off in the last chapter, the Black Bulls, storming into the Magic Parliament, talking about how like Asta and Sekri are part of their crew. They're not going to allow anyone to just get rid of them as they see fit. They are their members, and they are not going to let anyone take them away from them. They're sticking crew heavy, and they're not going to abandon them. And even they knew that going against the Magic Parliament meant going against the Kingdom, the Black Bulls were perfectly fine with that. They were ready to do whatever they had to in order to protect their own. Because obviously, even though in terms of the fact that they work directly for the Kingdom, they're pretty much like a military squad. They're very heavy, like close, because the Black Bulls, they're a much smaller group in comparison to the other Night Orders, so they become a lot closer from that. They're pretty much family at that point. And just letting the Magic Parliament use Austin Sekri as scapegoats, then we're going to have that. I mean, there'd be a pretty big difference to them if, say, they were actually guilty of something and they had to let something go down, but they weren't going to let them just get, executed or whatever it may be so willingly and against, any form of fairness. But Sekri is trying to like reason with them, talking about how like just take Asta and leave her, and she's way older. She doesn't need to be within this generation and how they work. Yami, one thing about Yami is not a man that can really be reasoned with that easily once he makes up his mind, and he's just like, nah, I'm not doing that. You've made pretty comfortable within our order hall, and it's pretty much decided now that you're a member of our crew. And obviously Magna, I actually really liked Magna's line out of this, because he says, like, even though she's a girl, the fact that she was a bird for 500 years is really manly. And I'm very curious of that mindset. I mean, I can look at like a lot of things like that you can kind of compare. I mean, Fairy Tail has a character already that's similar in that is Elfman, but I'm curious if Elfman would think turning into a bird is manly. I don't really know what amongst that would really be like. It's a pretty Chad thing to do. You can turn into a bird. I guess it's the opposite, because they look at it as beneficial, which is like something normally people would say. I always like laugh over at with Ruby, if you ever watch that show, because there's two characters that were just kind of given the ability to turn into birds. Like there's no noted drawbacks. It's just like, hey, you can turn into a bird. And some characters were like acting like that was like some cruel thing that the guy who gave it to him put upon them. And I'm to this day just like, how is that a bad thing? You gave them a free flight and transformation ability that doesn't seem to require any energy cost. You get that on top of your other powers. I'm glad that in Black Clover, like it's noted that is a good power to have. It's useful in so many ways. And then pulling over here is here's obviously Finral doing his thing and being happy. There's just another cute girl on the team. And just the Black Bulls are welcoming her, being very happy. And then Yami just slaps a robe on her. And of course, she looks great with it, as I said. I'm honestly very surprised that the handcuffs that she was put in weren't some form of like magic sealing, which I can kind of like look at both sides. It's like, well, in the Magic Parliament, you're not going to probably try and break out, given like how many people there are probably present that could stop you, especially specifically Damnatio, who could weaken other people's magic. You have like a short moment to escape and go on the run, and you would have to make it outside of the country. Transverse. Hundreds of miles to get outside the border, and then figure out what to do there with probably nothing on your back but your grimoire. And why would your grimoire be on your back? You know what I mean. And the Black Bulls are ready to go at it. Damnatio being smart. The way that he's been conducting himself, I really like. I actually really enjoy the fact that he so far isn't going like in any of these situations like he's fighting. He's playing it much more of the presenting the much more unfortunate side of things, like even on the reality, he's talking about like even if they leave here, now the Black Bulls are going to be supporting this, as he just calls them, like a demonic individual, a demon user, and it's just going to run amok in the country. No one's going to feel, people are going to be way more like up in arms, like way more like freaking out over all this instead of like at ease with how this would go down. He's much more playing mind games, which I think is cool. And then he uses his scale magic, levels all the Black Bulls out, obviously weakens, well, not even leveling, he just weakens the hell out of them. And, you see all their magics kind of shrink down. And from that, Asta ends up pulling out a brand new anti-magic spell. He has this Demon Destroyer sword, uses what he calls Casualty Break, which is a pretty cool name. I actually really like that. And it just kind of like spreads out in like this big like black vine-like aura, hits each of the Black Bulls, undoes the nullifies the scale magic that was used upon them. And one thing I like about the Demon Destroyer sword is the fact that it doesn't seem to really be that useful outside of its kind of AoE dispelling, because it already has a really useful ability, but it's not as it's not overall as like powerful as the other two. I still think the Demon Dweller sword is the most OP of them. It has way too much to really go with the fact that you drain magic from both like people and by not just like, oh, I hit the spell with it, but you could stab it into somebody and drain their magic supply in total. Like that alone was a very heavy thing that like I think made it OP. You got pretty much a magic lightning rod that can just drain anybody that it comes into contact with, and that I still think that alone made it one of the, if not the like most devastating kind of weapon like in the series, counting magical tools and such. And it's not even fully accessed because Asta only has like he doesn't have the full capabilities of them that someone like Licht would have. But then the Demon Slayer sword, it's just really big. It's very useful. I think it's definitely my favorite one so far, but it obviously isn't as broken. It's the Demon Dweller sword. The Demon Destroyer sword, like there was that scene when they were fighting Dark Elf Patry, or is it Patry? No, I really wish there was a data book that just had names and how to pronounce them. But when he blocked the Demon Light Judgment Cannon, he stood able to block it with his sword, but he wasn't able to cancel out the full force, because just considering like it wasn't keeping up with it. But he had the Demon Destroyer sword like have all the big black vine-like tendrils come out and like hit it on multiple sides. It looked very strange. It reminds me a lot of it reminds me also a lot of Rune Save from Rave Master, because the main character had pretty much a magic fighting sword. It was much more of like being able to cut magic and then seal it. It wasn't the same thing as anti-magic, but he still pretty much had an anti-mage sword. And it was really useful in that aspect, but it couldn't really do anything otherwise. You couldn't like go out and slash somebody with it. I mean, you could, but it would really just mess with their magic. It wouldn't do any physical damage. And I kind of get that with the Demon Destroyer sword, because like it's the smallest of them. It's got like obviously the least amount of weight. If it hits you, it's gonna do a very light amount of damage. The only time I would ever see Asta like try and like sword fight with that over the other two is if maybe he's like in a really enclosed space and he doesn't have a lot of he just doesn't have a lot of free range swing room. But from that, here comes Yami ready to just go in to fight Damnatio. Doesn't give a shit at this point. And smart people show up, because even though Yami and the crew are doing lots of good things for as characters for the other members of the Black Bulls, they were doing a pretty dangerous and risky thing by going against the Kingdom. But now we have Fuego Leon and Nozel show up. These two are ready to pretty much look at both sides and be like, okay, both of you guys need to chill, and we need to figure this out, because, oh, god damn it. That is the unfortunately very loud subscription sound I have set up on Streamlabs. If that was audible through this, it startles me sometimes. Exit out of Stream. I remember to exit out of the Facebook tab this time while recording, but I did not remember to exit out of damn Streamlabs. Anyway, yeah, it's actually just Lord Zed, as he's very happy about this intervene moment between the all these Magic Knights and Damnatio. But when we look at it, it's not just like obviously Yami's being rash, but Damnatio is being rash too because he's not willing to really look at the situation. He's just trying to get the situation resolved, and the justice that he sees is already set out. And Yami just wants to save his crew. But Leon, I figured would, he was a likely person to kind of like show up and I think intervene. Nozel, I'm very surprised at because with him, he seems much more of somebody that's like for the job itself. I've talked about, his predicament in the series a few times where, everyone thought he was much more of just like a bad guy, kind of like a douche, but he's much more like when you look at a lot of the situations of when he was like mean to somebody, it was much more of like them not pulling their weight as a Magic Knight, and that's what seems to like actually make him not like somebody. And obviously pulling your weight makes him like you, and both the Black Bulls, but Asta, like, especially, like, have shown how heavy of a use they are to Magic Knights to this guy. But, so they're, not but, yes, anyway, they're deciding to pretty much, like, settle everyone down. They're like, even though, Asta is, very low class in terms of, his personal status as a peasant, he's shown he's a very capable squad member. Like I said, that was Nozel's like big thing, is he cares about like capability of Magic Knight being able to pull their weight. And they end up bringing him they bring in like I guess it would be summons maybe, or just kind of straight like mission statement of that the Black Bulls are ordered to monitor, Asta as he gets exiled from the kingdom, because they're like, we're getting rid of this demonic person, but you guys need to watch him for a while, keep an eye on him. He's being very smart because Julius right now, he's on his way out as the Wizard King. I still like Magic Emperor. I wish that was in all of the official translation. I think it makes much more sense. And I think it's what the Japanese like wording actually translates. Wizard King just stuck for some reason for the visual. I don't know. But he's talking about how essentially, he's exiling quote unquote Asta. Black Bulls are gonna watch him as, while we kick him out to figure out where he goes. And I'm guessing this is what will lead up to maybe the Heart Kingdom. And this will be, the smart move. Because Julius, as I said, he's on his way out. Because he's not strong enough to be in a position anymore. But until, like, if it's official, he still has the influence. He still has the intelligence and, the kind of, like, way he knows how to manipulate the system. And, even Yami notices that he has, like, this straight political influence, as Julius in his position of Wizard King / Magic Emperor. Magic Emperor, just do. And he sends two, not just captains, two royal-blooded captains, obviously from the House Silva and the House Vermilion, to deliver the message. And so Julius wasn't trying to say, hey, I'm going to override the situation. He went with, I'm going to sway the situation in that order, because he didn't go for Damnatio. He went to pretty much take care of the opinions of the whole, like, majority of the Magic Parliament, because now they're going to exile the demon, but they're going to have the Black Bulls watch him, which is very smart, because now they're going to be able to kind of, like, get on ease of both parties out of the situation, as well as they are going to pretty much, just in general, not have to deal with them anymore. There was some funny, I guess not really funny, when I looked at the spoilers, that it was like, oh, Asta's gonna go undercover in the Spade Kingdom. I was like, we're gonna go to the Spade Kingdom already? That'll be pretty crazy if that happens. But they just say that they're gonna go abroad, so it's still possible. I don't see anything in this chapter that mentioned specifically the Spade Kingdom, but I'm hoping again for the Heart Kingdom. Because the Heart Kingdom, you can go check out my theory video I did, I think last week, about my whole layout of that situation and how I think it's going to go. But I like this. I thought this was a really solid thing to go at, because there was like pretty much the Black Bulls were gonna fully push. If they didn't get intervened by Noel and Fuegoleon, the Black Bulls would have pretty much been completely seen as criminals at this point, outlaws, and had to leave the country. Whereas Julius, obviously being able to see slightly in the future, probably foresaw it, knew what he needed to do to prevent that, and played the political party, smartly. Because now everyone is on his favor. He's got not only the Wizard King himself, the Magic Emperor, again, I prefer it, pushing for this, but also backed by two Magic Knights that are captains and royal blood. Obviously, gonna have a lot of influence. Even though Damnatio holds a lot of position, the majority of the people still are now going to outweigh him in his decisions. So other than that, solid, super solid. We got a lot of good stuff in this. Good Nero moment, good Black Bulls moment. Asta getting a new spell, or anti-magic spell? Anti-spell. Let's go with anti-spell. That's pretty cool. And the whole like intelligence between Julius and these two captains and how they pretty much diffused the situation the best they could. But other than that, comment below, tell me what you thought about the chapter, and I really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, prefer the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. From that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.